WrestleMania preview?
We're not watching it. Sure. All right. We have, starting at the bottom, now a singles match. And if Punk wins, Rey Mysterio has to join the Straight Edge Society, Punk and Rey.
CM Punk. We'll start with our picks. Punk's winning.
Rey's winning.
Wow, interesting. I think Punk has to win because that brings the story in an interesting new direction, whereas if Rey wins, it's just the end of the story, so that's no good to me. If Rey wins and they continue the story, that's also bad. So I think Punk should definitely win here. Did the angle on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago, have you seen that, where Rey's daughter is in the ring? You haven't?
No.
My God, you have to see it. It was CM Punk is the hottest character in the company. He is phenomenal. He is one of the few, if only guys. I mean, he's the antithesis of R-Truth right now, where he completely believes and knows and understands his character, and he comes out and he acts natural, which is what money-drawing people do. The people hate him. Rey Mysterio did this segment. I'm not going to go into it. If you saw it, you know what I mean. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It's 2 or 3 weeks ago on SmackDown. Immediately thereafter, the week after, they started slowly killing the feud. So thank God they didn't do this angle 2 months ago, or we would have forgotten about it completely by now. But basically, Rey brings his daughter out to the ring with his family. His son as well, who's in that angle with Eddie Guerrero in 2005, and his wife, his beautiful wife, what's her name again? Angie. And so he brings his 9-year-old daughter to the ring. He cuts this promo, and Rey's not a great talker, but he was being real, so it worked. He cuts this promo where he says, we're on the road so much that, I consider you guys to be my extended family, and sometimes when you're on the road, you miss important things for your family. And today is my 9-year-old daughter's birthday. And the crowd, before Rey continued, and this is so sweet, before he continued, the crowd started chanting, "Happy birthday." And they cut Rey off by chanting that, and her mother and her brother started clapping along with the crowd, and they seem like very, very, very humble, very quiet people, and they're just being quiet. And the daughter, her eyes lit up, and she was so happy. And then Rey knelt down on one knee, and he started singing "Happy Birthday" to his daughter, and the crowd cheered it with him. And halfway through, CM Punk came to the ring, and just the heat, the tension, the believability. The daughter was amazing. You could have cut it with a knife. CM Punk came into the ring. He knelt down on one knee, and he finished singing "Happy Birthday" to her. And it was the creepiest thing that I have seen in wrestling in years. And this was phenomenal. CM Punk is phenomenal. For my money, this is one of the best feuds the company has done in years. This is one of the best things going into Mania. I don't think they'll have the time to make it as great as it could be, but I don't think they'll blow it off for another month or two anyway. So yeah, I think Rey's winning. I think CM Punk's winning.
Randy, Cody, and Ted in a 3-way. I will pick Mr. Orton.
I'm going to go out on a limb and join you here, Adam. And I called this earlier, I discussed it earlier, what I expect them to do, and really what they should do. Because either of those other two guys winning here is pointless, because neither guy has any heat. If you pin a guy who's so far above you, or you're so heatless, in certain positions, there's a million nuances to this, so I can't explain it all right now, but it just won't work. Yeah. If one of them pins Randy, it's going to make Randy look bad, but it won't help them one iota, because they've got no credibility. So.
You could write a book on how Cody and Ted should not win this.
Yes, you could.
And how much they screwed this up.
Yes, you could.
Okay, probably the more interesting picks. Triple H and Sheamus.
I think Sheamus is going over.
Yeah, I do too, after seeing Raw. I'm going to go with Sheamus. And the fact that they got on.
Yeah, to me the thing is that Hunter pinned him clean at the last pay-per-view in Elimination Chamber, and I've grown to look at these things the way WWE does in terms of what to expect. And the thing with Hunter is that he's smart. He'll put over guys who he knows aren't as good as him, and Sheamus isn't nearly as good as Hunter is. And there's no threat from Sheamus. Sheamus is not going to take Triple H's place in a million years. Whereas Hunter, I don't think he ever put over Kurt Angle clean for the opposite reason. He put over Benoit once, maybe even twice. I mean, he put him over a couple of times with kind of fluky pins and stuff like that. But he did tap out to him at least once. And again, because Benoit, he knew at the end of that angle, Benoit's going back to the mid card. So there's no threat from Sheamus. So Triple H can lose to Sheamus. Sheamus will probably use some sort of a gimmick for the finish, I'd imagine, as well as that. Maybe an exposed turnbuckle, that kind of thing. Some sort of mid-level gimmick. And yeah, because if Sheamus loses this, then Sheamus is nothing. Did you notice, Adam, in a promo a couple of weeks ago on Raw? This really pissed me off, and it's such a small thing. Triple H, Sheamus in his promo on Raw, because everybody that Hunter fights obviously kisses his ass, but Hunter always buries people that he's going to fight. Isn't that amazing how that happens? Sheamus brought up in his promo on Raw a couple of weeks ago that Triple H has beaten Shawn Michaels and he's beaten The Undertaker. And in that moment, it really kind of took the shine off the main event to me. It was like, did you really need to say that? Was that in any way beneficial to your match? Did that do anything but kind of make you...
I hope they did not write that for him.
Oh, they wrote that. They definitely wrote that. Sheamus cut that promo word for word. It was scripted for him. And, it makes you immediately go, why isn't this Shawn versus Taker versus Hunter in a three-way? That was my immediate reaction, and I bet a lot of people sitting at home are watching that too, and that's just the reaction people like Triple H wanted out of that line. That just really pissed me off, because that was a really vindictive, small-minded little thing to do. So yeah, that's that match. And, as we go along here, because this is our last major show, we should be talking about the futures of these guys. Triple H is, well, he's the boss's son-in-law. He'll wrestle and win for as long as he wants to.
He'll be around for a while.
He will. Sheamus, as long as he doesn't fall out with them, he'll also be around for a while in that Mark Henry way. Yeah. Sheamus is fine. He's got no charisma. He's not a great wrestler. The bloom is off the... I think...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I've fully grown to accept Sheamus on Raw, and not in the kind of way where you, like you said, Mark Henry, where you're like, it's Mark Henry. I see Sheamus now, and I'm fine with him being on Raw.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
It's just he's still, how do I explain? He hasn't been exposed yet, let's say that.
He hasn't been overtly exposed, but it's amazing how, like, a week or two after TLC, when he was being hyper-protected, I heard all these people, including, like, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, a good friend of mine, all these guys... all the top wrestling journalists and all that saying how, Sheamus is this breakout guy and Sheamus is doing great.
Yeah, no.
It's slowly tapered off to the point where nobody's kind of coming out and admitting that they were wrong. But, and this is, I called a year ago when everybody was talking about how great Drew McIntyre is and how great John Morrison is, and he's the next big babyface. I was sitting here a year ago explaining, and people can go back in the archives and listen to it, exactly why those guys are going to be a major disappointment, which is exactly what they've been. And the reason is because Sheamus does not have main event X factor. He does not have personality, and he does not have a strong character. So while he's fine in that he doesn't blow a lot of spots and he's big and he looks like a wrestler, he brings nothing to the table. He doesn't sell a single buy. He's never sold a single buy. And he's perfectly acceptable in this spot, but he's a total treadwater character, and the only place they could use him as an upper mid-card heel who guys like Kofi beat when they ever get serious about elevating a babyface to the main event. That's the only thing he's good for. But having Triple H beat Sheamus at Mania would be pointless, and Triple H losing doesn't matter for a second. Triple H was at the peak of his overness 10 years ago, and he's never going to be any more over, or really any less over than he is now, so that doesn't matter. And just jumping back to the last two matches as well, CM Punk is great. He should be in the main event. He's such a fresh character, but WWE, the way they are about your look. Have you noticed that CM Punk's gained like 20 pounds of muscle the last couple of months?
Yes.
His chest, his shoulders. Yeah, so...
But, you can't really accuse him of straight edge guy, can you now?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of bizarre that way. But, he's definitely gained weight. He hasn't done a Triple H circa 1997 on it or anything like that, but he's obviously gotten a lot more serious because remember a year ago when we didn't even know if he worked out or not? At least now we know that he works out.
He looked like the most non-athletic guy in the world.
Yeah. Rey Mysterio, nothing needs to be said about Rey. He'll wrestle until both his knees explode. You said this, I think it was in the show with Stevie a couple of weeks ago, that Rey's the most underrated guy in the industry, and I think you are absolutely right. I think, Rey has been so consistently great. He has brought so much to every card he's been a part of. His feud with Jericho last year was one of the highlights